Hello to you and thank you for watching my video. As always, please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or would like me to cover something else in greater depth or cover something I have not, please put it into the comments. Today, in part one of this two-part video, I'm going to be going to show you how to set up PHP IPAM with an external Mariadb server. In the second part, I'll be showing you how to add a second PHP IPAM server and load balance the original PHP IPAM server for high availability setup for PHP IPAM. To begin with, I'm going to start on my Mariadb server, and I'm going to install the REMI repository and the EPL repository. And once those are done, I am going to make sure I don't have an update to do. Let's see. Make sure those are there. And next I'm going to do install PHP. I'm going to set it to 8.2, and then I'm going to have it install. I believe this is set to 8.0 by default. Next, I'm going to install a few items that I need, namely Git, wget. This is for webmin and some of these Perl libraries. And I'm going to put you on pause while that installs. Okay, so that finished. Now I'm going to install Mariadb server. And once this finishes, we'll enable and start it so that it will start up when the system reboots. Next, we'll check that it's running. I believe it, yep, there it is right there. Next, we'll do a secure installation. So really everything as you would normally have done with either one of my other scripts or in any of the other examples, I'm usually doing this. Now, I do need to give you some networking information here. So the first part is I have to allow port 3306 at TCP out through the firewall. And the reason I'm doing that is so that the other server can actually get over here. Now there's two ways to do this. Now I am going to put all of this up on the notes in Git, so you'll be able to make these decisions, but you may want to restrict it by the IP address. So right here's the PHP IPAM server IP. So in my test lab, I use DHCP. I'm not setting anything hard or anything. So in order to update this so that this is in there, I'm going to reload the, I'm going to reload the the firewall. And that was successful. Next, I need to allow SE Linux. I am running Rocky Linux 9.5, and in order to make this happen, I need to do the sets bool to allow MySQL to connect through, and that should work for that. And then let's do the check. So I'll get spool, and I'm allowing the connection. So the next piece that we need to do is we need to enable MySQL to listen to it so that it's listening on a bind address. Right now, I believe it's set to 127. So I'm going to tell it to bind to anything. And so I should have an IP address, and I'll show that in a little bit. And that would be what that command is telling it to do. And I will restart MySQL, Mariadb, sorry. And if I go back up a little bit here, where was it? And everything should be loaded and active. That's good. So now I want to load the PHP IPAM database into my SQL server. And I want to also create the user IDs and the password for that user ID to access it, just as you would in a normal installation. So first I'm going to download the PHP IPAM Git and put it into my temp folder. And then in the temp, and then from there, I'll load this schema SQL. But first, I'm going to log in to my SQL server. And the first thing I need to do is create the database. And then the next things I need to do is create the user and password, and then update the privileges. So, right, I've loaded the or created the database. I've created a user and password, and I've granted that to PHP IPAM, and right there, and then I flush the privileges. So now what I want to do is I want to grab the database and load it into PHP IPAM, this database I just created. And to do that, I'll load that command, and that's pretty much it. I want to now do an IPA, right? And I want to verify I'm at 130. So now I want to go to the PHP server. And again, this server is brand new. It was just created. So I have a few items to tell it to do. And so I'm loading the latest EPL, and then I'm using the README repository as well. The next piece after this, after it finishes updating, I want to install HTTPD and the HTTPD tools. And we're almost there. There's the README. And there's no updates to do. So now I'm installing HTTP or Apache. And once that's done, I will enable and start Apache, and let's check to make sure that loaded. And it did. Next, we're going to allow HTTPS and HTTP through the firewall, and I'm going to reload the firewall to allow those services. Next, I'm going to install the PHP README 8.2, and as you can see, it's loading 8.2.27. Now there's two sets of dependencies that I need to install, and I have them all right there. This is the first set. This is the bigger set. And then I will load the second set. Now the second set has more specific items like Git and fping and MySQL. You do need the MySQL client to communicate to the remote Mariadb server. And so that's something that you have to have in this setup. In a normal setup, you wouldn't necessarily need it. But We're almost done. There we go. So now here's the, as I said, it already went by, but MySQL up there it went. Okay, so next I'm gonna load the PHP FPM, and next we're gonna restart HTTPD, excuse me, so that we load everything into our web server. Now we need to actually install phpipam. So we're going to do that here, and we're going to put it into our web directory for Apache. It's going to go through and grab everything that we need for there. And let me see here. There should be a couple more folders there. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to change that folder, and we're going to go in and copy the distribution file into our config file, and I'm going to nano in there. And there's a few things we need to change. So we already loaded the database, so this should be set to true. And then we need to change this to our IP address, which I hope I got this right. I should be 130, I believe. And we can check that. I believe it's, yeah, 130. Okay. So if we did that right, the only piece we have left to change now is we need to do the selinux command to allow Apache to connect to a database. And one means on. And if we go here and we check it, it should be on. And then let's see, our IP address here is 155. So let me open this. And I believe it should be admin, and the default password for admin is IPAM admin, since I haven't changed anything. So this is looking good. This is the IP admin, and I'll just create a like a new password. And there you go. So now we have our IPAM server running on this IP address on this server, and it's actually using a Mariadb server in another IP address. And we can confirm that by pinging, which should be our DB server. So if I go over here, there it is. Well, I hope the coverage of how to set up phpipam to an external Mariadb server made sense to you, and hope to see you on the second part of my video covering how to set up a second phpipam server and using Nginx to load balance between two, or if you wanted more, phpipam servers using an external Mariadb server. Finally, I wanted to thank you for watching my video, and as always, please like and subscribe and add some comments of what you liked or what else you would like me to cover. Thanks, and have a great day.